Grove, so we need to need everybody here for that practice on July. Spread the word for those that are.
Remember that. Everybody be here July 11th for the choir. And Larry will be helping in Harmony Grove next week with Tim Beatty, and service starts at 7:45. Does that sound right? And 11 in the morning. Remember our revival, the 15th through the 21st. Tommy Weldy and Donnie Nix will be here. Morning services at 11, nights at 7:30. Daily preacher luncheons. Friday night we'll have pizza in the fellowship hall, and Saturday the church luncheon after service. Bring a covered dish for that. Singing at the nursing home is canceled for July. And last but not least, today's offering will go towards church camp. Any other announcement that I've left off? Any updates to the prayer list?
I want to ask everybody to pray for Deb's dad. He's had Sam. He's had another. We fear that he's near the. She was up there last week. And he didn't even.
Remember that.
Well, I want to give everyone an update on Betty Eubanks. Most of you know she's been in Northside Cycle, I guess, about 3 weeks. But they went in this past week and cauterized the places where she was losing blood at, and they got that fixed. And she's took her pain pump off, I believe it was yesterday, a good bit better. She's going to have to go some for rehab. We don't know where that'll be yet, but continue to remember.
Remember Betty Eubanks. Any more?
Well, Miss Jewel's son had his surgery Friday. It was successful, but they think he will need some treatment for CAT report next week. So just remember that. But he's over Miss Jewel. Just pray for her. She appreciates the prayers of everybody.
Remember this.
I want to ask this church, and I have conference in this church, in their prayers. I have sis, Martha Grant, that has lung, and it's stage 4. And they're giving her radiation, but they don't give her much hope because it's so large and everything. And she's had gland cancer before 2 years ago, and it's the same time. So I'd like for y'all to pray for her. Martha Grant.
Remember that. Any more? If not, got a few birthdays. Stephen Eccles, Austin Knight, and Caleb Dixon.
Everyone get a church hymnal, page 203. Page 203. Before we start, we do want to open with a word of prayer. Jason.
Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the ability, Lord, the desire to come out to your house. Lord, be with us in this hour of service, Lord, in each moment that follows after. Until we meet you, Lord, help us to grow closer to you and love you more. Lord, be with the prayer request
93. Third verse. Let
Good morning. I want to welcome everyone to Hall Creek Baptist Church today. It's good to see each one of you out this morning. If you're visiting with us, we thank you for coming and helping us out this morning. Just make yourself at home, and let's just follow the leadership of the Holy Spirit and do that God would have us to do. He said in his precious word, he said, if I be lifted up from the earth, he said, I'd draw all men unto me. So let's just lift him up this morning. Thank God for this beautiful day he's given us, and the opportunity we have and the help that we have this morning to come out to his house that we might worship him in spirit and truth. Glad to have Brother Robert and Shirley Martin with us. Brother Robert will be coming in a few minutes and bring the message. So we want to hold him up this morning, lift his hands up and get under him and pray that the Lord would deliver him this morning. It's already been talked about, our revival here at Hall Creek, third week in July. Tommy Weldy, Donnie Nix. I hope that you've been praying for some time, but if you hadn't, it's not too late. Start praying. And I believe if we get to where God wants us to, he'll send us a revival. Of course, Tommy will not bring one with him or Donnie or myself, either one. We'll have to be prayed down from God out of heaven. And certainly, again, remember us at Harmony Grove the second week. At this time, as you stand on your feet as they play on the instruments, we'll fellowship one with another, and we want to make sure we let our visitors know we appreciate them being here. And children, come get your candy. Stand at this time, please. this time, we'd ask you to remain standing while we come forward and take a Sunday morning off.
Everybody get a spiritual hymns, we're turning to page 277. Page 277.
sing his song, and that's It Is Well With My Soul. That's kind of like, I guess, our signature song for the choir. I think it might be the first song we learned as an adult choir, if not the first, among the very first that we sang. And we've almost got a whole different choir now. So many of them have already gone on. They're certainly singing It Is Well With My Soul. If you want to sing with us, it's in this book, the Songs of Faith, page 24. Yes, page 24.
Whatever Larry told me to please hurry. Boy, he's a man. And there's a girl here today that knows a lot about me, Jenny, here. And I think they all knew I'd make a preacher when we was in high school together. Is that right, Jenny? She's shaking her head. I didn't mean for it to work out like that, but it'll be all right. Shirley knowed it too. I want to ask somebody, is there a military man that served in any branch of the military, or a woman, men or women? Stand up. Harold Green, you better stand. Look at that. Thank you, men. It's going to be interesting today. I've got my Bible bottom side upwards, but I've learned to read since I went crazy, you know. That's the advantage about losing your mind. You can just remember anything and do it anyway. Somebody's trying to tell me something the other day, and I said, I'm hard of hearing in this ear and can't see in this. And they said, what was that? A lot of things happen, don't it? Harold Green's in trouble. Saw this sign on a big old pickup truck. I like these big old pickup trucks, them knobby tires and them wheels. And I mean, they sound off running alongside Mama's little Honda. And I saw one the other day, and it said, had a big old rattlesnake on the tailgate, and it said, don't tread on us, or don't tread on me. I think that's the toughest bunch in the Marines. And I got out and let her go shooing on me, and I got out and I was searching that thing out good. And on the side door, it said, wife and dog missing, $50 reward for the dog. I'm not going to call no names, nobody I know never go to Christian with, because it could cause family trouble. But that was, honest to goodness, that was on that door. 23rd Psalms. This is one of the most read scriptures worldwide that you'll ever read. And I'm happy to see some of these smiling faces, these little girls that grew up with my son. Some of them live way off now. My little wife's learned how to laugh in a different way. Our grandson had a bad experience with his marriage and came home brokenhearted, and his wife said, well, I'm going to Mama's. And he's cried, made up his mind. He went to as far as he could go, to Alaska. And the other day, I was outside, thought everything was okay in the house, and I heard her shouting in there, and lo and behold, he had called her, and she was talking to him, just her and him. Now, she laughed till we went to bed that night and was still laughing. You don't know what you'll face in this life, but I'll tell you one thing. I know who will face you and take care of you. Let me just read this 23rd Psalms just right quickly here and tell it here along as we go. Let me see if I remember this military thing. It said right here at the beginning of the encampment, when the chaplain finally reached his own lines, he discovered it was actually a Confederate soldier. This story, you know what this story was? This story was a soldier who got out in front of the Confederacy and was shot. And they didn't go to see about him. They knew he must be hurt bad, and daylight came, and they went out to see about him. Let me see if I can hold myself together. It said this stricken soldier, and began pulling him. The man went out and got him and grabbed him and began pulling him toward the encampment. And when the captain finally reached his own lines, which was Confederacy, he discovered it was actually a Confederate soldier, but the soldier was dead. The captain lit a lantern and suddenly caught his breath and went numb, was shot in the dim light. He saw the face of the soldier. It was his own son. That'd make you cry nearly, wouldn't it? And when they asked for a funeral, they asked the Union soldiers to let them have a Christian. And they told them they'd let them have a short one. And they just had to make it real short. And guess what it was? That's that very song. It is well with my soul. I don't care how deep the water gets. I don't care how you have to climb mountains. God will not leave you He will not leave you. And what I like about him, I like what he put over there in the last few verses of Matthew, the last chapter. Judas had just sold himself out for 30 pieces of silver. And I'm so happy to come here today and tell you I'm proud for you folks. I'm proud for your Sunday school. You don't want to go and travel around like Shirley and I do and see how people have just forgotten God's house. Right where we spent our ministry. Sunday school must be nearly nothing. Breaks my heart. How come God's kingdom can't grow like everything else does? But this just breaks my heart. But y'all got a good stout Sunday school. And I still got some questions about his precious ability to love me. You know what he done? I tried to give him something while ago as a trophy. I love him, and it was a Matthew Ledbetter ballpoint pen. He put that thing back in my pocket and handed me one. Guess what I got? Surely this is mine. That's yours. This says Hall Creek Baptist Church. You know what these people done? My daddy and Shirley's daddy passed away the same years we pastored. No one either. And all them good singing. The man, old Pruitt, he says, dedicate the service to this. And this sweet old lady had more power than anybody I've ever seen. Had preachers around here, old boys, home preachers that would preach with the whole armor of God on them. We need to put on the armor of God. We're in a battle, and this boy was killed in the middle of the bullets flying every which way. And when that man finally recognized his son, he begged him, he said, let me have a military song. Well, we'll let you have one verse. And they had one man playing the trumpet. Said, one verse is all you get now. And the dad just stood there and squawked. What about not being able to cry when parents will just throw children away, and grandparents just go after the world and throw grandchildren away? I tell you what, I'd fight a boxer dog for my children if I could have them anyway. And that's the way we felt about our grandsons. And let me make this statement. Don't try to find out who it is, because it'd break your heart if you did. She said, let's just be friends. Let's just date who we want to and be friends and go on like we are. Where in the world could that come from? What theology, what marriage counselor could have ever told? We love the little lady. We still love her. But sometimes, I'm going to let you read the 23rd Psalms. Sometimes that's where the green grass grows, down through the valleys. The valleys, the shadows of the mountains is exactly where you find tender grass for the little sheep. And that's why it's in this 23rd Psalm. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The shadows can't hurt you. Pull up someday out here on this main road about sundown, and when the shadows are on one side, see if the shadow hurts you. It won't bother you a bit, but you let that semi hurt you and you've been hurt. Can you imagine starting out with a dream, and the little old fella, he's gone as far as he can go. He said, Grandpa, the sun goes down at 11:15 and comes up about 12:45. I didn't know the planets were messed up so bad. I thought God just had all the sunshine shining on Hall Creek and Cold Mountain. But I'm not reaching out to people like others can. This psalmist, how did he know all this back then? He knew where we hurt. He knew where he hurt. He knew what he'd done. And I'll tell you one thing, you better take heed. I'm not familiar, but I got enough sense to know what a Facebook is. And if you know how many people's on that famous Facebook, you'd know who we're talking. You'd know who's with you today. But I'll tell you one thing, if there's ever been an innocent man done wrong, you're looking at one. I'll tell you, I stand before God and tell you God's truth. But it ain't going to be many days till I'll just feel like a bird flying away, because there's going to be a big old jet plane take most of my problems to Colorado somewhere, and it'll be over with and forgotten. And I'll pray. I've already prayed for what happened and when it happened. And you folks that's got Facebook, you folks that go to the beauty shop, don't sit and tell me you don't know what goes on. You know everything goes on. But I'll tell you what'll work pretty good. If we'll spend as much praying and loving people, you think, let me ask you a little question. I had a little preacher that resigned his church. He pastored at Birmingham Baptist Church, and his wife was sick. And he went to the deacons and told him he was going to get him some medicine. Somebody had told him he'd get him some medicine. He didn't tell the deacons first, so that'd run him off. And he went and talked to this man about marijuana. Helped my wife 100%, he said. He was broke. He was pastoring a little country church, didn't have much. And he said, go get you some of that marijuana. He went, and by all the faith, I bet you the Facebook learned this. He got him a little bit of marijuana, took it. And the police had the house staked out. They clamped handcuffs on him. He went straight. He said, let me go see my deacons. I don't know where they went or not. He went and seen them. He said, boys, I've got to give up the church. He told them a story, and they said, you do not have to give up the church. He said, yes, I do. He went ahead and gave that little church up. Sometimes we can make a mistake and give a church up when we shouldn't. He gave it up. And he went to his house. And I had a chance to be in revival the next week over on the lake, and I know the pastor. You know, pastors can get a little too haughty and high-minded sometimes. And you can agree with that if you want to. You don't have to. But I went to that boy. I called him. I said, Friday night, if you're not at that church, I'm helping a man down on the lake. If you're not at that church, I'm coming after you in person. I've rent my ministry. Let me ask you just give you a quick question. I'm going to be quick. I've learned what quick is. Sometimes you have to dodge a bullet or an arrow somewhere. And he said, I said, Friday night, you be at that revival. I can't get out, he said. I said, why can't you? I said, you ever read a story in the Bible about Abraham? Yeah. I said, Abraham lied like anybody could lie. Big old lies. I'm talking about big lies. He said, that's not my wife. That's my sister. If that wasn't a lie, I don't know where to look for one. And then they come along, the children of Israel got in trouble in Egypt's bondage. And God called old Moses and said, you go down there and lead my people out of bondage. And the first thing old Moses did was caught an Egyptian, beat him to death in the sand, dug a hole and buried him in the sand and walked off and left him. I believe that would be called a sin, don't you? God is a God of all grace, love, and mercy. Aren't you proud today? Yes. That old prodigal son, he was filled with sin and filthy with stench. But don't you see that father, the mother? Why didn't it never mention that mother? I've always wondered, Larry. That was the mother's church. She was praying. You didn't go out with weapons. You don't go out with weapons to hurt people. She was praying, but that daddy was sure watching. And when he seen him coming, it said he ran. That was the sinner, wouldn't it? Wouldn't he? A prodigal son, smelled like a pig pen, ate like a pig pen, but there was a wonderful prime rib cooking on the grill. God's grace is so sufficient, how precious it is. And I told him, I said, let me tell you one more. There's a man named Saul of Tarsus. He had letters in his pocket. He was killing Christians. He was telling anything he could tell on them, making up rumors on them. And Larry, I've got your pen in my pocket too. It's going with me when I leave here. And he had that in, and he rode that big old stallion down the road. He thought, well, this is going pretty good. Arresting Christians. They were whipping them, beating them to death, and his name was Saul of Tarsus. Oh, I wanted to have everybody in the house to stand up. It ought to be a national anthem when they sing Amazing Grace. Our national anthem ought to be Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And that little old boy, I said, Friday night, if you don't show up, buddy, I'm coming to see you, and you're forgiven. I hugged him, and we prayed, and you know what? The pastor was standing at the door, making it good. I told the pastor, I said, you do what you got to do. I'm looking for somebody. And I saw him come up and drive up squalling. You know the difference in a few tears and squalling. You're lucky one that's been doing a little squalling. But I tell you what, I believe she's going to clear up. I believe the streams will clear up, and we'll look up the river and up to the mountaintop, and we'll go with that shepherd beside the still waters. He walked up, and the pastor spoke to him, and I just grabbed him by the hand, walked with him, and held his hand all the way down to the first bench on the left side. And I'll not tell you where the church was. That don't matter what people do. Let's stay on what God has done. If we're talking about what people have done, all of us would be out of hope. He sat down with me, little old fella, he just trembling. And the pastor met everybody. He wanted to meet everybody. He didn't know about this guy. When he come by, he reached out and shook hands with him, and he just shaking. Had the service, good service. 3 or 4 got saved. That little old boy got happy. I've checked on him. Are you checking on those that's going through deep water? On the wounded? On the hurting? You know what pure and undefiled religion is? Let me tell you, young people, what pure and undefiled religion is. It's in James, I believe, about the 3rd, 4th chapter. It said to visit the widows and orphans in their afflictions and to keep himself unspotted from the world. You want to know how to get into religion that's pure, get into that. It's in James. That's in, go somewhere and mow some widow woman's grass, even if it's got sweet gum, not sweet gum, but magnolia balls all over it. Go by there and stay there or two and pick them up and throw them away. Don't go in. Don't you go to the door. You just say bye and don't ask for no money. See if fire won't burn in you. You young people, there's some sweet things they can do. Larry, they're learning me a whole lot. What about what that said? And they played that taps for that man's son. You can just go to the 23rd Psalm. It's the most read scripture around the world. The 23rd Psalm. I just about buy that deal when you. That's a good one. I like it. Now, Harold, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. If I could, I would. I said, I'll tell you, he's my champion. I got an old grasshopper, and Shirley said, Robert, you absolutely love that thing more than you do me. That's the biggest slide ever come out of you know where. But you know what? The other day, I got to tell this because Larry leave him smiling. He don't smile unless it's pretty funny. I'd cut my grass. And now, all of y'all, any other cut your grass? Any of you men folks ever cut your grass? You don't. What's the matter with you? You hired to cut? Do you women have to cut the grass? Okay, I'll leave it there. I'd cut my grass, and I wanted to put it up, and I started back at my little old barn, and it had the vertigo. It just went around and around and around. And Shirley looked out the window, and she come out, what in the world's wrong with that thing now? I said, get back in the house, woman. As after her left. But you know what he done? He's got one just like it. And I bet you can tell a story about it, but he'll know better than tell it in front of his wife. And so what happened, I called old Harold. I said, Harold, if you got a minute, come up here and just help me out. Now, I get chewed out from here to home, and y'all have conference, and they'll turn you out of church if you don't behave. And old Harold came. I said, Harold, it's got vertigo. He said, get on it. I got up on it. He walked around over there. You know, you don't believe all the stories they tell. I don't never get in on none of them. I don't believe in that, do I, Harold? Okay. He got down, he's pretty tall, old Harold is. And he got it. Now, this is not a preacher's sermon. If it was, I would have brought it with me. That's where I try to remember who Larry was and who Harold was. And old Harold just got around there like this. He said, give me a flashlight, Rob. I gave it to him. He pointed out, he said, that right there. He said, the belt's run off, and the little pulley's not even on there. He said, I think that might be it. He'll be my hero till I get to preach his funeral. Brother Vaughn, I'm finished. I love y'all. This is Sweet Church. I'll feast from you people. And y'all walk with us through a deep, deep valley, which my daddy and her daddy. But praise God, ain't you glad? Grace lets us be saved. And by the way, cleanse you. Thank you. And don't try to sell me no Facebook. I don't know what I'd rather have an old-fashioned. No, I'll not say that. I'm through, Brother Larry.
Wayne, good song. Their feet and sing. What can I say? Everyone stand. Go, Rob, come on back there.
Church hymn on page 335. 335.
I appreciate the message brought this morning. Love Robert Martin. Nobody like Robert Martin. And he's been a Paul in my life. I don't know what I'd have done without Robert Martin. I love him with all my heart.
Let me tell you a little story about it, Larry, that when he first came here to this church, Angela was in St. Joseph with kidney stones. Robert and Shirley came down there to visit us, and when they left, I told Susan, I said, I tell you what now, I know preacher ain't gonna last up there all preach, we don't leave them good women alone. I hadn't seen Shirley in a long time, and I thought he had one who went to the church with him. Come down there to visit. So he said, that's his wife. I said, well, excuse me.
Anybody got a word you need to say, anyway?
Larry, we're glad to have our little visitor.
We are.
Hope she will come back. She's just moved into the community and she found our church and got here and Sheila met her out on the parking lot, so, want her to know that we welcome her. The church always welcomes anybody that will come.
Today is our conference here at Hall Creek, so at this time, we're gonna ask Wayne to sing a couple verses of song. If you need to be excused, we'll give you that opportunity. We invite all to stay, members and visitors alike. But if you need to be excused, we'll give you that opportunity at this time. Thank you for being here. God bless you.
Sing the third verse.
Thank you. You may be seated.